cleaner.
You're good.
Yeah, I.
The December 2024 regular meeting of the new Britain Borough Council is called to order. John, do you want to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, would you do the roll call, please?
President Price.
Here.
Vice President Fresco.
Here.
Member Asher.
Here.
Member Bentram.
Here.
Member Kellerman. Member LaMontagne. Member Lowe.
Here.
Mayor Donovan.
Here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is consideration of consent items. That includes approval of the minutes from last month. Does anybody have any corrections or questions about those minutes? It includes the treasurer's report for this month. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? And it includes approval of the unpaid bills list for this month. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? John, did you mention to Dave about that?
We did, and we did cut that today. That'll show up in your next month's
Okay.
paid bills.
Good. All right, so can I have a motion to approve those three items?
So moved.
By Steve, seconded by Lauren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved.
Okay.
Public comments. No members of the public present to comment tonight. So moving on to business items. First item on the agenda is 44 Industrial Drive. John, you want to speak
Yes.
to that?
So they were hoping to be here tonight. They are moving forward with turning this project into a pickleball organization. I met with them last week sometime with the pickleball people and the developer. They will have to go before zoning to get relief on parking. If you look at our ordinances that are really outdated, it needs to be changed, because what it's saying is if you put any kind of a sports facility up, how's the word, sports facility with seating is every 4 seats is 1 parking spot. Then that makes sense. But any sports facility of any type, every 100 square feet needs a parking spot. So if you think about a 24,000 square foot building, you need 240 parking spots on 11 pickleball courts with a maximum of, I've used the word 50 when it's really only 44, 45, 46 if you put employees into that, for parking spots. So they're going to be coming before that. And I said, I don't know that you'll have any. This was from 2000. This was when last time that was updated. So I think we can, of course, pickleball wasn't, it's probably around, but we didn't know about it like we do today. So that's what they're going to do. I told him if he wanted to come, that they could come and show you what's going on. I said, come with pictures. I said, I just don't want you to come and talk about it without pictures. They couldn't get it done fast enough, so I told them.
Is this going to be something like a gym with paid membership?
Yeah, it's going to be paid membership, but you and I could walk in, pay for a court for an hour, and play
So
pickleball.
there'll be staff there manning this?
Yes. Yep. There'll be staff. The new layout, I thought it was going to be you walk in the front door and there was going to be like a lobby with a desk, and then in the back was going to be 11 pickleball courts. The new layout that he shows the other day is gorgeous. It's like you're going to come in off the side, and it's going to be a small lobby with a sitting area. Okay, so you'll check in, you can sit there, and then the courts go this way and this way. and sort of wrap around, so you can sort of watch too. But it's really neat. I think these guys are really excited about
How
it.
many courts?
Well, there was 11. I think they're down to 9 or 10. You know, so
So how many parking spots do they?
well, they're saying they only need 42, which they have now. And I said, no, you need more than 42 because you put, 44. Let's just say they have 10 courts. You're going to have 44 people in there. If everybody drove their own car, there's 44 cars. And then you're going to have maybe 2, 3 support staff. So I used the number 50,
50.
to be reasonable. He can get 50 out of that.
Any
He's-
regulations against on-street parking down there in any kind?
This does, in the zoning, it does not allow you to have on-street parking. It only allows you to have off-street parking in the zoning. So is there regulations, like I have no signs down there saying no, not, you can't park. But at the same time, the zoning doesn't allow you to count anything on the road for parking. So,
If somebody were to do it.
well, yeah, I mean, who's gonna
And
say?
I'm not talking about advertising, I'm just talking about, John Smith decides to park out on the street because the parking lot happens to be full. But they're not gonna,
Until it becomes an issue and all of you
Yeah,
post
decide
no
maybe
parking.
No parking signs.
Yeah, they'll need to have a traffic engineer
Yeah.
come in and explain what the parking requirement should be. And I think you guys are right, it's probably around 50 or something like that.
Yeah, it's, so they're really, these guys are really excited. They, and they're hoping it's going to be more business to the borough because like any tennis, pickleball, whatever kind of sport like that, where do you go after you have a match? You're going to go up to the MBI and drink or go across the street and,
Are there any other facilities within this pickleball
No.
court, like a locker room, snack?
yeah, they have to have
Snack
locker
bars
room.
and
They don't show that.
Okay.
Strictly a seating area, with like a couch or so, and then the front desk. They have to have locker rooms by code. So depending on what the use is and how many people are there, will tell you how big the locker rooms have to be. So one of the things they were hoping to do is to start, they've renovated this for 12 individual spots. Now they have to change all that, and they wanted to start that. And I said, you guys can start it. You have to get the permits and everything. But I said, if for some reason you get, turned down in zoning, it's on you. So I said, just sit tight. It's January. It'd be when the zoning hearing board will meet. And I said, you can do it then.
So they're coming to us next month
Yeah.
just to,
Well, you have the right to send Mike to oppose it if you don't want it. That's why it's always here first and then zoning's after that. Yeah, so
anything else related to that?
not to that.
All right,
Good for
let's
right
move on then to the next item, an update on the 2025 budget adoption and tax millage rate.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So I had informed council that it was totally on me. I missed the deadline with the way the holiday schedule was for the paper to get the ad in time to make sure that the public had their required number of days to review the proposed budget, which is why, sorry guys, we'll see each other again on Tuesday of next week at 7 p.m. Right, John?
Yep.
So that is when the budget and tax millage will be considered. That's the update.
That's gonna be a quick one because we have planning at
It'll be
7:30.
here.
And it's here. It's
There.
here. Yes.
So we've advertised that special meeting.
Yes.
Sir. Yep.
I have it right here.
All right, so no action on that tonight. Moving on, approval of the 2020, consider the traffic signal maintenance agreement.
I can take this one. So there is, in connection with the vet project, is it just a school sign, John? Is that all it is? A revised school sign. But you all have not had an opportunity since PennDOT updated its regulations regarding traffic signal maintenance agreements to obtain a permit from PennDOT. The last time you did a traffic signal update, it was for the gathering, whatever it's called now. And that just barely missed this time period where PennDOT now has a form traffic signal maintenance agreement that covers the entire municipality. The intent is for this agreement to control, and you don't have to enter into separate agreements each time there's a traffic signal that goes up. You already have the responsibilities that are set forth in this traffic signal maintenance agreement as we sit here today. This just documents all of those responsibilities in a single document. So, whether or not you knew it, but I'm pretty sure you did. Issues with the traffic lanes, even along Butler, the borough deals with, do we use a maintenance company?
Yeah, it's Farmer.
So we use a maintenance company, Armor. That is Armor is one of the approved PennDOT maintenance companies. So we're doing exactly what we're required to under this agreement. And there's nothing in here, again, that's any different from what you do now, aside from the fact that you have never had an opportunity likely to review this document, which is incredibly dense and boring. So, but you have a responsibility, all local municipalities do, for the lights, even along PennDOT roads. And this agreement memorializes that requirement. If you fail to maintain the lights as you're required, there is a process through which PennDOT can put us on notice. I don't think we've ever had any issues with that. Even, certainly not under John and even before that. So I would recommend that you approve this agreement and we'll get it signed. And hopefully if this new process works as it's supposed to, you won't have to see this type of agreement moving forward. This should cover you.
So this will cover the Underhill Road one eventually?
It should.
Okay, cool.
It should, yes.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to approve this agreement? No, is there a second? By Lauren. Any questions or discussion?
Just a basic formality, really, is all we're dealing with.
Yeah, you can't, you don't even get to request edits. It's, you want to be in our right of way, you have to accept this agreement.
Okay.
So it is, I think it is more than fair to just consider it a formality because we have no bargaining.
PennDOT's dumping everything. They're dumping stormwater, they're dumping lights, they're dumping anything they can dump.
And I was looking through it, waiting to see if there was actually gonna be a contractor's name floating around in there someplace, and then I'm beginning to realize, oh, this is just
It's,
paperwork.
No, because it doesn't
Yes.
lock me into using, there's only 2 contractors left that do traffic light.
right.
And Armor does 99% of them, the other one.
And if you use someone other than Armor, we have to then
No.
present it to SEPTA and see if they, so
Yeah.
it's,
So it's a lot easier just to leave it out. They just want it taken care of. They don't want it to come back to them. And it's been that way for years, as long as I can.
practically speaking, it's been that way.
Somebody must have challenged them somewhere along the line and they even do this agreement now.
Yeah.
But
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. The next 2 items we can treat as one together. We were given a list of meeting dates in our packet, but an updated list was given to us tonight. So that's the one we're approving. This is a list of meeting dates for, committee meeting dates for 2025. And then there is a list of borough holidays in the packet. Does anybody have any questions, corrections, comments about either of these?
Are we advertising Columbus Day as Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples' Day?
it was in my calendar as Columbus Day, so I wrote that. Yeah,
You can change it to what it's now called.
Can we?
Yeah.
Is it,
I would
is
prefer
it
I like Columbus.
just indigenous or is it indigenous/Indigenous? What's?
No, I think
that.
it's just
That's American.
Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
because I go through the calendar and try to make sure,
All right, we should probably change that then.
we can.
Any other questions or comments?
We're not required for the time changes to, other than to vote on it or something like that. notification to the public or anything beyond saying that we did it and that's the change? And
No, we advertise it. Yeah, great question. It'll get advertised in the paper and then, obviously each meeting, the agenda will be going up, but, and we can do, it would probably be worth a few other outreaches on the change to 7 PM.
We can put a blast out on that.
Yeah, just because the public, I will tell you, I would assume the public will be very pleased with it.
Just to note, all the meetings are now 7 P.M.
Great. So what's in our
except for historic
packet
preservation.
is not,
No, the only thing that changed,
This is the update.
yeah,
sounds good to me.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve both of these documents?
I'll make that motion.
By Lauren, is there a second?
Second.
By Mo, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, approval to move forward on a TAN loan.
yes.
John, do you want to take that?
Please. So we did TAN loan last year. What it is like a home equity loan, but it's for municipalities. It's a tax anticipation note is the way it's worded. It helps us float, municipalities struggle between beginning of January and April when tax money comes in. So a TAN loan helps municipalities float to keep operating during that time. We did it last year. I think we only used 200,000 of it last year. We're going to go after the note again, if that's okay with council, just to float us until April. And then once the tax money comes in, Dave pays the loan off and loan goes away. The problem is they won't let the loan run on. Once we pay it off, it gets closed out. So every year we just have to do it again. These guys are great to deal with. They'll get us the paperwork for your January meeting, and then January you'll officially make it happen.
What is the rate?
That's a really good question. I don't even know what last year's rate is because we just do it. That's a good point.
Yeah, so this motion allows John to get the process started before you're actually bound to the note. That's what you do in January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So that obviously knowing the rates.
we'll have all that then. And I don't remember what it was last year, but if you remember, we tried getting it 2 years ago from Penn, and they were ridiculous. They wanted our firstborn, along with all the building and all the land that we owned and everything else. They didn't understand municipal government and how it works. These guys understand it. It's a guaranteed payback. Once tax money
Yeah,
comes
taxing
in, they get
authority,
paid.
yeah.
So, all right.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve having John move forward on applying for this TAN loan? By Alex, is there a second? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. Next item on the agenda, approval for the owner of the Gatherings final land developments cash escrow agreement.
So let me take this quick, John. So at one of your meetings, can't remember, it may have been, it was probably in October. You had authorized the release of the escrow for the gathering project. You won't recall this, but at that meeting, it had been added to the agenda, and we had stated at that meeting that we would ratify the release of the gathering financial security at a later meeting. This is that later meeting. We probably should have done it in November, but this is that later meeting. So what you have in front of you is how we, even though you are releasing their financial security, this is how we guarantee that the public improvements that are associated with that financial security are secured. A few ways a developer can do that. Here they did it via cash. You can see the amount that's being held to guarantee that the public improvements remain in good working order is $20,000. So tonight the motion would be simply to ratify the release of financial security for the gathering.
So we're gonna still hold on to 20,000.
Yes.
What do they have left to do?
Nothing. Yeah, great question. Everything's done. This
There's a dead tree here and there.
Yeah, this $20,000 is if something goes wrong. They guarantee it for 18 months.
Yeah.
So if anything goes wrong over those 18 months, that's what this 20K is for.
Another tree dies, they have to fix it.
And if they don't, then we can draw on
Yeah.
the cash escrow. Yeah, we do this for every single one of you actually don't believe this is done administratively all the time, so you actually don't see it that often. So it's sort of nice that you're getting a chance to see it.
All right, can you restate how that?
Yes,
motion
it would be a motion to ratify the final release of the gathering financial security.
Do we have that motion? By Lauren, is there a second? Second. By Steve, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Second,
Thank you.
And the last item under business items is to consider approval of the intergovernmental public works agreement with Chalfont for 2025.
so we want to take this quick time just to, so John, Sean, the borough manager from Chalfont, Mike, the solicitor from Chalfont, and I had a chance to regroup on the intermunicipal agreement. Chalfont desires to continue to move forward. John is recommending that we continue to move forward. There is no price increase for fiscal year 2025. It remains at $100,000. The changes, which are incredibly minor, are to, in section 15, we wanted to find a way to make sure that Chalfont and Sean have an opportunity to know for budgeting purposes whether or not we were going to be moving forward from year to year. So the term of the agreement, if you look at section 14 and 15, the term of the agreement ends on December 31st, 2025. By August 31st, either party, if they wish to exit or to end the agreement, will by August 31 notify the other party of their intent to exit the agreement. As part of that, if Chalfont intends to increase the cost of providing services or to decrease the quantity or frequency of services, Chalfont will inform New Britain of that by August 1st, so that you all can make an informed decision by August 31st. That lets Chalfont, as they move into their budget cycle, know whether or not you will be extending this agreement. And then in section 15, under all circumstances, the agreement is terminable by either party on 30 days written notice. So in terms of, what happens if you accidentally miss that August 31 deadline, you still have a 30-day out provision. So this again, things as you go through the first year of things, you notice stuff. And what Chalfont noticed is that it would be nice to have this wrapped up by the end of August, which I think you guys can make an educated decision by that time. So that is the only main change to this agreement. Otherwise, it's the same. We didn't change Exhibit A at all, right, John? The
Nope.
services.
That all stayed the same.
So it's ready for your vote this evening. Did Chalfont approve it last night?
Yes.
Okay, so Chalfont approved it last night and it's ready for your vote tonight.
Okay. Well, let's have the motion first. Is there a motion to approve this intergovernmental agreement between New Britain Borough and Chalfont? By Lauren, is there a second? Second. By Steve. Any discussion?
Just, I think I've asked a couple of different times as far as Dave taking any kind of a look at the monies associated with this. I'm assuming that because we're all seem to be happy about it, Chalfont all seems to be happy about it, that $100,000 figure works out pretty evenly for both sides.
Do we know how much
Do we
per
feel
hour?
comfortable that we're getting our share?
Okay,
Of that
so
money?
to put a public works, and this is what we talked about last year, to put one together, you're gonna be up over 200,000. It's gonna be 100,000 for the employee, just for one employee, and he doesn't have a truck, equipment, tools, or anything. So you're gonna be looking at well over 200,000. And that's just before he even starts to do anything, and you hope you have somebody, but what's even worse today is that you really shouldn't have one, you should have two, because nobody should be out on the road by themselves without somebody else backing them up. safety wise. Franconia lost a guy because that happened. And I swore I would never, I told the guys in Hatfield, you will never go on a road by yourself because I do not want to go knock on your wife's door and tell her you're not coming home tonight. So with that picture, you look at what that's going to cost you every year at that point. So for me to break this down, I have never really sat there and broke it down. You can see that they're doing stuff every month. It's, I could sit back and ask them for an hourly rate, but I'm scared to do that because you might find that their rate might go up.
No, I was
Because I
just
do-
wondering if maybe you and Dave had sat down and said, okay, they billed us, they did 25 hours this month, 30 the next, then kind of just figured out approximately per hour.
I really haven't. I just I look at what the work is being done,
Mhm.
to rebuild the inlets and do stuff like that. You're looking, that was 3 guys, 8 hours at that point, plus your materials at that point, which we pay for the materials. You always have 2 guys that are going out ripping signs, fixing signs, doing stuff like that. You have a guy that drives through the borough every Monday morning. You had 2 guys that went out just the other day before this rain and before the one before that. You cleaned up. I didn't even realize it until we talked about it when we were laying this thing out, because that was something I always did in Hatfield. If it was going to rain, I wanted somebody to go clean all the grates off the top so the water goes through.
Can we replace that thing on our street that got removed and never replaced? Across the street from our house, that
Oh, the curb?
curving.
Yeah. I know your husband and I have this conversation all the time. Can they?
It's driving me wild.
I know it is. He said he was going to do it. I said, go do it and bill me.
Yeah. But then he'd have to hire it.
Yeah, I know. And really, he should not be on the street by himself.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I can actually talk to those guys to see if they could. That's not hard to do. You form it for it.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Right. So, but they can do things like that. So when I started adding up, if I was to sit here, I believe that we are getting our money's worth. Are we getting a full 100,000? Probably not. But there has to be something in there for being on call 24/7. And they are on call 24/7. And yes, they have gone out in the middle of the night to fix a traffic light or take a tree out because it was across the road. So, and I love that part because I'm not getting called. So, that's where the 100,000 is. So what it did is it bought them another person. So they added another person into their group, and he also bought another truck. So our 100,000 is probably paying for his extra person. So you might say we have a dedicated person who won't go out on the road by himself because they always have 2 guys that go out every time.
How many staff are there?
He has 5 over there. Yeah.
Are there certain guys that do most of the work here, or?
No, I've seen I've seen all 5 of them at one point or another. There was 3 of them here a week or so ago doing all the leaves and cleanup around both buildings. They even went up on the roof. I was totally impressed with that. They brought a ladder. They took the backpack blower, cleaned all the leaves out of the gutters and the roof and everything. It was, the place looked pretty good when they were all done.
I think if you think about it, like you said, John, if we had to hire somebody, by the time you paid a salary, benefits, and equipment, you'd be way over. $100,000.
Way over.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'd need 2 people, so you'd be really.
Really way over.
So it really is a bargain, I think.
Yeah.
And they're doing a good job.
They have done a dynamite. They've really impressed me. I was really worried my first year because I don't know what kind of guys he has over there, but they do know how to fix an inlet. I was really impressed with that because that's a lot of brick, and you got to know how to do brick work and block work, and it's just not a concrete box, at least not the older ones. So they actually fixed all that and replaced that stuff.
To that extent, kind of ties into the next question I had about that. Do you have, and or with the work that they've been doing, have they been giving you something that allows you to create or maintain some type of call it a master report of work that's done like that they've fixed or repaired an outlet, and that now you can document it on a map that, we can look at and then develop somewhere on down the line, if you don't already, just some kind of a general maintenance plan to not get into a situation where we're desperately trying to repair again,
Mhm.
that we're more hopefully being a little bit proactive and again, creating a maintenance thing. So if they,
So they give me a report. They usually give me a report the next day when they fix something. They just send me an email saying this is what we did. With every inlet box they've done, they've sent me pictures. This is what it was before we started it. This is what it is when we're all done with it. That all goes on the GIS system. So the GIS system allows me, under our asset management, to be able to pinpoint where the inlet is, and then I can attach documentation. I can attach pictures. I can do all that, and I have been doing that. When I get it from them, I typically go in and do that. I have tried to keep up with the street signs. They removed a ton of signs, if you haven't noticed, especially over in Tamanett, in your neck of the woods. They pulled a lot of signs out of there. What was it, last week? I think it was last week. I got a 30-yard dumpster over at the Public Works yard off of Bueller there, and they went in and cleaned those 2 sheds out. And it was funny. I was getting these texts saying, I found a bunch of girls in my department now. Every time they lift something, 5 mice would come running out and they'd start screaming. It was so funny to listen to what he was talking about. But I mean, one area in that one shed, there's a hole like 4x8 that goes right into the dirt, and stuff was just all piled over top of the hole. So they cleaned that whole thing and did an inventory. That's what I was trying to get to. A sign inventory, a post inventory. None of us knew we had as many signs and posts. Somebody along the line went and spent a ton of money on signs and posts. Okay, so now we have an inventory. I've been buying them. Now I don't have to buy them for a while because these guys went through. We found a lot of them that were not PennDOT approved, but we have a ton now that are PennDOT approved. So they just go over there. They have a key to it now. They can pull a sign, pull a post, and just go put it out.
Are they gonna go through and clean out all the stormwater inlets?
They're doing that now.
All the leaves?
Yep. So they do that as they go for their inspections, and there's they got, I think they're up to about 50 of them so far. They started down my Bristol Road, and they went through all those 2 developments. They've come up and they're starting down Ute, and they've gone back into there a little bit. So as they go in, you got to have a machine to pull the grates. The grates just don't pop off. So they take their machine, they pull the grate, they have their sucker, they sit there and clean it out, and then they determine whether it needs to be rebuilt, what needs to be fixed at that point. Have they done the whole borough? No. They are slowly picking away at it as they go through. So he tries to give me at least 1 to 2 days of that kind of work a week as they're going through. So he has, to answer your question, yes, he has 3 guys that just do that, that know how to do that, because the other 3 days are doing their borough, and then 2 days are over here doing this borough. So they're slowly picking away at that as they go through.
Great.
So yes, I got them marked of where they're at, which ones have gotten cleaned up, and if one had to get totally rebuilt. They had to rebuild Iron Hill Road because the road was starting to collapse on that one. It was so bad, it was falling apart. So they've jumped in several areas where we've had issues that we had to fix. But yeah, they're all over.
Have they done anything on Woodland, where apparently the road was starting to crumble because of?
The road is
stormwater?
crumbling, yeah.
Have they done anything
No.
with that yet?
No, that
That's a grading issue.
it's a grading, it's a paving. That road is so bad that should have been paved years ago. That is on my hit list. And when we do that, we got to put a crown into it to keep the water pushed off the side. Then you have to have the sides all backed up and bermed up. I wanted to do that with Brian Coleman, and the people started screaming at me. And I said, then fine. They said, well, the blacktops. I said, yeah, because it needs to be backed up. It needs to have something there. We were going to put millings in and have it rolled, and they didn't want the millings along the front yard. And I go,
Are you still hearing from residents on Woodland about?
no,
They came to a borough council meeting a couple of years ago.
oh yeah, no, I haven't heard it from anybody. And then we just put delineators down there where that big pipe crosses, and it dropped off on the one side. We finally, I go out and buy delineators, and then we're cleaning this thing, and underneath all this crap was like 10 delineators. So I got delineators now, and somebody steals them, I can put them back up again.
We probably haven't heard from them because we're having a drought.
Yeah, there's not much I can do until I pave that. Yeah, so,
All right, any other questions? All right, so the
did I
motion,
answer your questions on that? It is so hard to,
No, you have to think of it in those terms,
Yeah.
what we're getting for the money, and if you break it down, 100,000 over 12 months is about 80,000 a month, right? Right?
well,
Yeah, I'm sorry,
8,000,
8,000.
right.
You could never have an employee
for
or
8,000.
2 employees for that.
Well, they just bought a new sweeper to the tune of $350,000. And we don't get charged for that. That's part of the agreement.
And as a
So when you
little
look at some of the
borough-
equipment,
Yeah, as a little borough, we have to outsource a lot of,
yeah,
stuff.
I think
that
we'd
we don't
spend
get
way
done.
more than that. And then I would be shooting somebody because the frustration of trying to find a contractor that can work and do the work would just absolutely drive me up a wall.
We're just lucky that we have good neighbors.
Yeah, yeah. And these guys are great. They really have done a great job.
It's great that the two of you can work together.
So,
all right,
thank
so the
you.
motion on the table is to approve the intergovernmental public works agreement with Chalfont for 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
On to committee and commission reports. I do have something from the EAC. Jane McGroarty is here tonight. Jane is a longtime member of the Borough Town Committee and now the EAC. And she has a special announcement and presentation to make tonight. So Jane, the floor is yours.
I was asked to speak on behalf of New Britain Borough's National Wildlife Federation. New Britain Borough was originally certified by the National Wildlife Federation in February of 2022, and again recertified in 2023, and again most recently in 2024. This piece of paper, this recertification, represents countless hours of volunteer time from dedicated people throughout the borough. Activities such as planning and planting borough properties, cleaning and upkeep of the bluebird houses, serving on commissions and committees, and providing educational materials at various events in the area. The focus of National Wildlife is to ensure that wildlife, people, and ecosystems thrive by working toward a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable environment. Achieving this certification shows that New Britain Borough is also dedicated to making the borough more environmentally friendly for ourselves and for others. Thank you. And this is the certification.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, well done.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So you're gonna leave that here? We can hang it in here?
You can put it in the showcase back there.
We can do that.
The original one is back there.
Back there too?
This marks 3 years. I think you're all aware that New Britain Borough is a National Wildlife Federation community wildlife habitat. And it's one of only a handful in Pennsylvania, and there are no other communities in this part of the state that have this designation. This is something the Bird Town Committee undertook, and now the EAC is responsible for. Jane has been our point person with the National Wildlife Federation. And you said countless volunteer hours. Any idea how many hours? I mean, all the volunteer hours that the Nature Preserve Committee puts in, maintaining the nature preserve, that the Parks and Rec Committee puts in, maintaining Orchard Park, that the Shade Tree Commission puts in, that the EAC puts in. All these volunteer hours are part of the requirements
Yeah,
for
what I
getting
submit.
recertified every year. They all count towards that. Just as we have to get recertified as a bird town and a tree city. So, gaining the certification as we did 3 years ago was just the first step. Maintaining that certification every year requires hours and hours and hours of
It sure does.
volunteer work. And
I would say I maybe submitted 200 hours at least, but then I had another 200 that I had on reserve just in case I needed them to, if they come back and question anything, but they never have, so.
And the requirements for this and Birdtown, I mean, they're pretty stringent. I mean, lots of different categories where you have to show that you have.
I have to go through, I think there were almost 30 different categories that I had to, I didn't have to fill in all of them, but I had to select a good percentage of them and put in the volunteer hours for that particular area.
So I'm gonna put something in the newsletter about this, but then,
It's a big deal.
we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the volunteers that serve on these committees. And thank God they're still willing to do it. And,
I'm really proud of the fact that we have that certification and that we're maintaining it. And to say what you said, that we're just one of a handful in the whole state is really says something to our dedication to our environment. And Shane, thank you for the hours you put in to make sure that we're certified every year, and all the other hours you've put in for the ERC.
Well, there's a lot of people that are responsible for it, not even one of them.
there are over 70 bird towns across Pennsylvania now. And that program is really growing tremendously. But I'm not sure there are any other bird towns that are also National Wildlife Federation Community Wildlife Habitats. It's always a mouthful to say.
I'm not sure. I do know one of the things we need to try to emphasize is that the more properties we can get signed up, the better. And I just had one lady last week ask me about signing up her property, so that's good.
Maybe you should put something in the newsletter, to get people to sign up for that. I think though that we need to do that really quickly because I think Monday is the deadline.
Yeah, I'm gonna write an article. I will include something from that. When we first gained the certification, I think we had some 70 properties in the borough
Yeah,
that
at
were
least.
certified, including all our public spaces.
Yeah, so if you know of anyone that would be interested, I can always be contacted.
Yeah, I think I submitted an application. I'm pretty sure that we're.
Well, thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Appreciate all your help.
Anything from any other committees other than the police commission and planning?
Planning did not meet last week.
Anything from the police commission, Jim?
Did have a meeting with, Brian Wallace from Chalfont. Noni West was also supposed to be there, but she was, ill, so we had to, Jack from the Dorchester Council. We did the, chief's annual review. Happy to say that that went well, that we want to keep him. He wants to stay. I will say that his tentative plan is to be in that same position for maybe not much more than 2 to 3 years at the most, I think, according to him. So may not be too long in the future where we'll be, looking at finding a replacement. And quite frankly, I think would be hard pressed to find somebody with the kind of background that he has. I wasn't at the last month's commission meeting, but there were a few things that went on. I'll say this much, the first 3 to 6 months of next year for the department is going to be difficult from a staffing standpoint for several reasons. And while we continue to try, and while the chief continues to try to do everything to get up to the kind of level that they want, every time it seems like we take a step forward, for some reason, we end up taking 2 steps back. It will be difficult for the chief to work through the beginning of the year and probably into the early portion of the summer.
What are some of the staffing issues?
I can only go into a couple of them at this point. There's one or two that are strictly medical related. There are some other issues, again, crosses a variety of things. And it's, talk to you about anything more.
Well, if you
More
have a small
details.
staff and you have
Yeah.
someone out on medical, that can put a kink in it,
Yeah.
that alone.
But again, I thought that the chief did a good job with the budget for this year. I think that 2.5 to 3-ish% increase for next year, in my opinion, is doing a very good job. And again, I think next year will also tell a big tale because we'll have the beginnings of the contract negotiations with the department starting sometime next year, and that will be, to say the least, interesting. I hesitate to even guess where that will end up taking us at this point. Something to consider and keep in your long-term plans. Information and whatnot that'll come out of those meetings.
All right, thanks, Jim. Planning Commission did not meet this month,
Last month, this month they'll be
this
meeting,
past month.
they'll be meeting next week.
Okay, so let's move on to staff and consultant reports. John, managers report.
It's in your packet. I think
Does anybody have any questions or comments
Oh.
about manager report in the packet?
And then I just want to add, I sent around to you, so you approved the plastic bag ordinance last month. In that ordinance, it states that the borough will make up a sign that can be posted, that is required to be posted in any of the businesses that this is going to fall under. They can either download it or they can, I was going to send everybody a copy of it so they can make copies and do that kind of thing. I also did a letter, and I know I forwarded that to you. It doesn't need an official approval. I just wanted everybody to see it. If you have comments, let me know. Ani can put a QR code on that.
Finished it already.
Well, no, it's a fake one.
Oh.
We can't do it until we take that ordinance, and I put the ordinance online, because the QR code, when you develop it, has to have a place to go. So she couldn't develop it until I had it online. And so we'll be putting it up online this week or next week. And then we'll attach that QR code to it. That QR code will be both on the letter as well as the sign. And what that'll do is take you to the ordinance, directly to the ordinance. That was one of the things that Robin asked about is,
I was gonna say, I think that letter and the QR code addressed
addresses a
those
lot
kinds
of
of
it.
things that I think several people felt was a little bit of a need for something a little bit official.
Yeah.
To accompany it.
So there was some questions that went around on the first sign I sent around to you. I think Tom had made the point that sign Ani designed totally. If you look at what we got from Doylestown Borough, it's more of a cartoon type looking thing. Ani wanted to really put in what a recycled bag looks like. And I just told her to do whatever she thought was best, and I really liked the way she did that. Yeah. So I thought this sign was better than any of our neighboring municipalities that have also adopted this. So she's got that set up, and that will go onto the website so people can download this to be able to get, if they need more to hang on, they can do it themselves.
I would encourage anybody who questions the need for any of these types of things to watch a documentary that's out called Buy It.
That was horrible. That was so disturbing.
If you want to see what's happening in this world, with just single-use plastic bags and and textiles and things like that. It's really eye-opening. So I'm really proud of us for doing this. I know that some people, not everybody was in favor of it, but I think that it's a little step. You know.
It's going to come. It's just a matter of time. And you folks are one step ahead of it. So,
I did write a letter, I sent it to Ani for the newsletter, an article, explaining this.
Good.
To the public and, including the dates, which I told Ani if I had them around to fix those dates, but, I did not say call your office or call, or maybe the QR code can be attached to it. I don't know if that's.
we can, once we get the QR code, we can put it anywhere. She did tell me you'd gotten it. She was waiting. So when I did the letter, of course, I send it through my office because I'm the worst speller in the world. And, Ani corrects it, fixes it, and takes it, and then I send it from there to Mike. So legally, he protects our butts. And he made a lot of changes on the letter, especially with the dates and the times and how that thing's going to all lay out.
It gets confusing.
Yeah, hopefully now it's.
Has that effective date, mistake that Steve
Yep.
pointed out, that's been corrected?
Yep.
Okay. So this letter is going out to businesses.
We're gonna print out a business list, and then I was going to put the letter and the copy of the sign to all the businesses. I'm just nailing all our businesses. It's not like we have thousands of them, so, they can go to all of them, and then we can start going from there.
If you could, and I think you could.
Yep.
If you could reduce this somehow, tighten it up so it's front and back with one sheet of paper,
What's that?
might be, the letter.
The letter?
Might be better than 3 separate pieces of paper.
Oh, yes.
Probably shorten it or
Well, and I make the print smaller. I do the print big because for me.
front and back with one sheet of paper.
Yeah, 12 fonts. is
If I,
pretty big.
yes, we can definitely do that. And put it down to just one piece front and back.
One piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Definitely do that.
Yeah, especially if we're talking about the environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that brings me to another
We
thing.
print it in
So
plastic.
here's, this is what I print every month. And I print 3 of them because I don't want to kill 20 trees. I only killed 3. Next month, I was going to start taking this, and instead of printing it out, I'm going to put it up on the screen. And we will go through it on the screen. And then I'll be glad to print the agenda, and somebody can have it in the back if they want a piece of paper. But for me to print this for the public, and and it's a hit and miss. I mean, sometimes we get 3 or 4 people a year, and people want them, and then sometimes I don't get any.
But I think if it's up there and people can follow along.
Yeah.
you should.
That was something that we were talking about in the office, because when I print those, it takes up the machine and
We're not obligated to write anything other than the agenda.
just the agenda.
Yeah, we don't even give draft documents.
Remember, I tried shortening that a year and a half ago, and then I got in trouble because then people in the audience found out that we had something different than they
Well,
did.
it's one thing online.
Yeah.
And they can print out anything they want, but
Correct.
I don't think we're obligated to write paper copies.
No, but
And
I,
the paper has gotten so expensive.
it has, and so is the ink.
Yeah.
That's going up.
Yeah, and also just scrolling back and forth from the budget to the next line item, it's up there, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I got to do these lights, and I'm hoping to do these over Christmas break, because I want to put this run on a separate switch than that run, so that when we have this screen on, I can turn these off and still have those on and have these on. So, and I want to put LEDs in here, which will just change the whole look and make it easier. So I'm hoping, because I got to put the camera in, that's going to happen over that break, and I want to try to get these lights on over the break. So,
All right, so any other questions or comments on the bag ordinance, the letter, the sign? We're all good with that. Just to clarify, there's been a little bit of some questions about the dates, and Mike clarified this in an email, but I don't think it went out to everyone. So these signs are going up on March 18th. The regulation goes into effect on May 17th. And then the signs are required to stay up until July 16th.
But the signs can go up now,
They can
because it
go
does
up.
talk
Go
about
whatever,
that,
yeah.
you know, but they're required to have them posted by March.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a bunch, Giant I know is one that, once they get the letter, they'll start making that switch because they already do that
Yeah.
elsewhere. They'll
And
use their product up here and then,
the ordinance goes into effect on May 17th. But
correct.
if the business still has plastic bags in its inventory, they
They
can
can
appeal
use
to
them
the borough for an extension.
Got
And it's up to the borough to grant.
That's brand
They
new.
have 180 days to use up their inventory. According to the.
Right, but when does that
From May
180 day?
17th, they
Okay,
have 180 days. And then if they still have bags left, they get another 180 days.
No, wait, I don't know, I think,
I thought it
I
was.
don't
the 180 days is going on right now.
that
Oh,
starts
that's
now.
going
Yeah,
on
that's
right
going on
now?
right now.
Oh, okay.
From the
Yeah,
time
yeah,
we
yeah.
signed,
It's-
The 180 ends on May 17th.
Yeah, I know it's coming, I know.
And
it's
if
coming.
they-
but then don't they, if they come before us, don't they get another 180?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Is it automatic?
No, they have to ask us
It-
for
It
it.
would be a little hard, I mean, if they come and they say, we have leftover inventory we'd like to get rid of, you know, we're not gonna
Right.
put
But
them
they
on
have
oath
to
and,
ask.
But
Yeah,
it's in the
they have to
ordinance that they
petition the
can
borough
have
for-
another 180.
yes.
So after May 17th, we may have some businesses that have permission to continue using
Correct.
up their plastic
You got
bags,
Mhm.
and others who don't.
And enforcement is gonna be a whole nother conversation
Right.
on how you're gonna enforce it.
Right. So then we probably should get the letter out ASAP.
I wanna have it out before January 1.
Yeah,
We're gonna,
Because they should be using them now.
it should be used
Yeah.
up and not.
Yeah, maybe we wanna put something like that in the letter, actually,
Right.
like, you
Or are
know,
they gonna
just to
order?
be clear that they should be using them now. I don't know.
yeah,
John brings up a great point. How will this be enforced?
I figured let's create the problem, but that's gonna be a major problem.
Tire shop on Borough.
Well, it'll be pretty obvious if
Yeah.
businesses are.
But my question
violating
is,
ordinance.
so you as a business decide to keep going because the plastic bags are so much cheaper, what am I gonna do about it?
Well, you can find them.
I can't though, it doesn't really talk about that in there. I gotta put that in the
I
ordinance.
thought that there was.
No, there's
Is
some.
there a
kind-
dollar amount? Like don't you have to do that in the penalties at the end of every ride?
There's some kind of enforcement provision in it. I don't have it. in
Yeah, I
front of me right now, But
I'll have to look
Yeah,
at that.
I remember there was,
I don't remember seeing anything that talked about dollar.
John, also, does this sign have to indicate the request of the straws and utensils?
Oh, yeah, I was looking at that
yeah,
also.
that's right here.
It doesn't. Just talks about the reusable
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Yeah, we did a
But we
tier,
did that in a letter.
we did tier 50, 100, 200.
Okay, we did, so is that what, the
It's
back
in the
page?
ordinance.
I thought
Oh,
there
I'm
was-
sorry.
No, the reason you missed it is because it's not, it's tucked in the middle. That's what, you're used to looking at the
I
back.
go to the back to see where it says penalties.
$50 for the first violation, 100 for the second, 200 for the third, and each one after that,
Good, okay.
in the same year dating from the first.
And it will be pretty obvious, we don't have a lot of businesses and people will see that, the fact that we're not collecting a fee, that would be hard to enforce. Too. That would be
Oh,
hard to see.
for the bag.
Oh, I don't know why you'd even want to get.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
No,
So
Went
it's
somewhere
essentially
recently.
$200 a
Target,
day.
I think.
it's a day, it should be a day, yeah. I'll have to look at that again, I missed that part.
Yeah, it's tucked in the
Talk
middle.
about that.
Kathy's does too.
Okay.
Kathy's does.
Okay, so moving on, public works
Oh, it's
report.
in your, matter of fact, I gave you a new one because Sean sent us stuff over yesterday saying, I forgot this stuff.
Anybody have any questions about that? John, any comments on that?
Nope, they're just plugging away. You can see a picture of the delineators they put up. He is big on giving me pictures of stuff, which is great because I put it into the GIS system so that we have record of it.
Okay, moving on then, the police report was in our packet. Any questions about that? The engineer's report is in the packet. Any questions about that? And lastly, the fire and EMS report's in the packet. Any questions about that? Okay, if not, we can move on to our next opportunity for public comment. Seeing no members of the public here, we can move on to adjourn.
Just one more quick thing, reminding everybody, next Tuesday, 17th, 7 o'clock, please try to be prompt because we have a planning commission starting at 7:30. They usually are in here by 7:15.
And that meeting's in here.
All these meetings are in here. Yep, every meeting's in here.
Okay.
So please be here prompt at 7.
We should be out here by 7.
Yep. If anybody has any questions about the budget, Dave will be here. I would suggest that you get me emails ASAP so I can get them to Dave and he can answer them. If you haven't looked at the budget, I mean, we all went over it last month. Not a lot's changing. And if you looked at my letter, the best part about that is zero tax increase.
Right.
It was in bold print.
Yeah.
So, I just don't want any complications. I want to be able to blow that meeting through so that the planning can get on with their meeting.
One quick thing from going back to public comment, sorry, because I just wanted to mention, for anybody that didn't know or realize at this point, over at Covered Bridge Park, before the rains and whatnot have started in the last week or two, when the creek was as dry as it was, a lot of volunteers from around the area, Covered Bridge Park, Business Deal River, went into the creek bed and removed just an ungodly amount of trees, logs, crap, you name it, to the point where you could literally walk from the dam to the covered bridge with virtually no obstruction. And now that the creek is filling with water again, I hope that it will create just a very nice looking, aesthetically speaking, place. There's a little bit of a better path now to even walk down there. There've been a few people that came up and said, you know, I didn't even realize that there was a creek back here, if you will, because you couldn't really get back there because there were trees down everywhere. And, you know, I put in a few hours down there, and again, the amount of time and effort that was put in by those people needs to be recognized, because they did an absolutely tremendous job without, I think, violating any kind of issues with, you know, whoever might govern stuff like that, because all that they did was just remove stuff from the creek bed. And it looks so much nicer now. It was down there the other day, and you can, I mean, some of the loose things started floating around, and I think the water, because it wasn't flowing, was starting to freeze up. So it looked, you know, like there were a few things laying around. But once it gets to be flowing again, I think it was a fabulous job.
Yeah.
And again, a testament to the volunteers that help out in this community, that would have just been an absolutely ridiculous amount of money to pay to do, even if we had to do that kind of thing. So just wanted to mention that.
I just thought of something too. I hadn't heard anything about Wreaths Across America, so I contacted Jackie to ask, and they're not doing it this year.
It's on the website.
Oh, it is? Okay. They hadn't had time to discuss it with the new church.
Correct.
So they're still hoping to do it next year.
The events committee is not meeting this month, we're taking this month off, but we will reorganize in July.
So John, this is reminding me, can we add to the agenda right before adjournment, announcements?
because we always have announcements like this.
You want to do it before or after public comment?
Right after public comment, just to give people an opportunity to make announcements like this before we move on to the agenda. So, any other announcements? All right, do we have a